Hello, Gov Seekers. What is up? It is, what is it? Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a fantastic show for you. The Unaliving of Bobby Kennedy. Boy, we talked a lot about what this, how to put that in the title. Bobby goes to meet his angels, or whatever we would call it, like how you talk to a child so the algorithm doesn't flag us or get censored again. So thank you. Hello, everybody in the chat and Government Secrets Nation. Thank you, everybody watching on Lee Camp's YouTube and on my YouTube. If you're watching on one of our YouTubes, make sure you're subscribed to the other one, even if you've already subscribed before. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button. All those things help our algorithms. And we're also on Rockfin. So thank you, everybody watching over on Rockfin. And I was simulcasting my show on Twitter, but then Twitter just changed and said, in order to live stream on Twitter, you have to do Twitter Premium, and I'm not going to give Elon Musk a penny. I tape a penny to the head of my dick and he can lick it off. I would do that. And then I'd punch him. So if Twitter has that model, then I'm down. Then we'll set that up. we'll set that up. BB, oh God, yeah, Netanyahu just got a standing ovation in Congress. Man, is this country normal? It's such a normal place. And that's what this show is all about. This show is to let you know that America's amazing. It's always done great things, and its leaders have always been great and honest and just. And when somebody passes away, it's just the fate of the universe. It's never a CIA plot. So that's what this show's all about. So if you want to hear about how great America is, you are in the right place, folks. This is a Patriots channel. All right, let's do it. Let's bring it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Government Secrets episode 165 with the two most censored comedians in America, Lee Camp and Gramilla. Yay!
Hey, man. I was only half listening. What I heard was you want to do the nasty with Elon Musk. Was that right?
Yeah, that's correct. You read that right. You totally read that right. I think it's adorable.
Cool.
I mean, I kind of prefer pre-hair plugs, Elon Musk, but this version will do.
Dude, there's been some great protests against Netanyahu, blocking of streets. I think he was late to arrive because of that, but also he was staying in the Watergate Hotel, and some people got in there and like covered the halls and tables and things with like literal maggots and crickets, and it's just beautiful.
It's so great that that of course he's staying at the Watergate Hotel.
Is that what's that? That's known for having really nice bathrooms, isn't it? Or
I thought they had. I thought it was the breakfast buffet. They had a really good breakfast buffet.
Oh, the muffins. Yeah, it's known for the muffins.
The warm, hot genocidal muffins. They're just really good genocide muffins. Yeah,
that's what it was. I knew that name sounded familiar.
One of my favorite accounts right now on Twitter is APAC Tracker. So whenever like somebody posted this Republican guy, black dude from Arkansas, congressman, he's like, so these pro-Hamas terrorists are harassing Netanyahu outside his, and then APAC Tracker always just retweets that and says, oh, this guy got $86,000. So they just, anytime, they just like,
Anybody who sees someone protesting what Israel is doing right now and goes, oh, they're pro-terrorist Hamas lovers, I just hear them going, I love genocide. Like that's what I hear. So
yes, I love genocide. That's what they're doing. And then the only thing I saw, I haven't watched any actual footage, I just saw some clips, was everybody standing on their feet applauding Netanyahu and Rashida Tlaib sitting there holding up a sign that says war criminal.
Rashida Tlaib had a sign?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Holding it up. She's just sitting there, and it's just like a little circle. It says war criminal. That's what she's just sitting there doing that. That's the picture I saw. So,
Oh, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I saw Mike Johnson saying he was going to arrest anyone who did anything because that makes sense in a free state, free nation.
America keeps contradicting itself so many times a day. You can't even, like, it's so many levels of hypocrisy and contradiction and deliberately going against, saying this is what we stand for while actively going against what we stand for.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even.
No, anytime it's a good thing to learn, and it took me a while, but anytime you see them repeat something several times, it means we're doing the opposite. So if you hear them say, this is a free country, this is a free country, this is a free country, it means this is not a fucking free country.
No.
If you hear them say you have freedom of speech and we respect journalism, then that's not what's going on. If you hear them say it was but war in Ukraine was unprovoked, that means it was provoked.
We're going to hold war criminals accountable. We're going to hold war criminals. Oh, you're war criminals. You're war criminals. Yep. So I have never been more excited in my life about living in another country. My trip, I've always thought about it wouldn't be cool to live in another country. I've always just thought that would be cool. And I was always like, yeah, but I'm a comedian. I tour around the States. I work in Hollywood. Hollywood is collapsing.
Yeah.
I don't want to tour this country because it's filled with nutbags and on all sides. And I can't.
Wherever you go, though, you're not going to find this level of beef jerky, though.
No,
whatever
that's true.
nation you move to. So I don't know what you're going to do to try and fill the void.
Lee, I know you're joking, but there's Americans right now that actually think what you're thinking. It's not a joke. That's what's so terrifying about the joke you're making. I know you're joking, but there's literally Americans. If you say I'm leaving this country, they're going to write, well, then where are you going to get your beef jerky from? Like, I remember a buddy of mine who was like was obsessed.
Doritos Locos Tacos are indigenous to this country. They are you can't get them anywhere else.
I mean, if you want to live somewhere where you can't get a deep fried chalupa, best of luck. I mean, I remember talking to someone who was just a typical American. They were just like, they love sitting around, and I said, wouldn't you like to live in another country just to see what it's like? He goes, nah, the food and their TV wouldn't be as good, so I don't want to watch.
This was a close friend of yours, was it?
Yes. I remember just thinking, wow, that's amazing. This is why America, this is why China, everyone's like, China's going to invade us. Absolutely not. First of all, that's not China's MO. They don't invade countries.
Look around. China already owns everything in America. It doesn't need to invade. It just owns it.
It owns it. Plus, China's just sitting around going, no, you guys just, I mean, every Chinese leader, I'm assuming, has read Sun Tzu's The Art of War, where it literally states if someone has superior forces, but they, back off, don't go at them directly. If they agitate easily, agitate them.
Right now, China's Ali and U.S. is George Foreman. And we're just swinging around, swinging along for fucking 10 rounds, exhausted, fat. Just, meanwhile, they're just dancing.
But it's literally, it's Ali in his prime and like Foreman grill George Foreman.
Foreman during his grill days. Yeah.
Like literally doing one of his grill infomercials while he's like trying to fight, and Ali's just like pop, 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 pop. Like,
I'm sure I'm not the first to mention that they picked George Foreman's fattest years to sell a grill where the fat drips right off. It's like, clearly he's been spending too much time with the George Foreman grill.
That's brilliant marketing. And that's like, don't have skinny George Foreman sell the Foreman grill. Absolutely not.
No. You want a guy who looked like he's had a good burger.
You want a guy that looks like like a couch is with a head is literally selling you a grill.
Not sure how we got off on this tangent, but
It's America's number one. That's the only tangent we have, Lee.
yes.
Well, speaking of great inventions, I think I'll go first. Or do you want, maybe you should go. Yours is a little more of a bummer.
Not the part of it I'm going to focus on is not that much of a bummer, but you go first so I see how much time I have.
I smell a multiple parter, Lee Camp. I smell
it's probably a multiple parter. Yeah.
This is like when you can tell I'm in a bad mood and there's going to be a tech issue, I'm going to flip out on something. You just kind of sense it. I can tell you're going to do like a 4-parter. Like,
well, anytime it's something that could get us demonetized, I like to really dig in and spend some time there.
Well, you don't want to just have one episode that could get us demonetized. You want to have like four shots.
4 shots at it. I don't know why talking about Blobby F. Blenity would really...
The mustachation of Blobby Kennedy.
The mustachination.
The mustache, when they tried to put a mustache on Bobby Kennedy. I was there.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That was a dark day in American history where they put a mustache on a Kennedy.
Yeah. And here's the thing is they thought it was the guy standing in front of him, but there were actually 2 other mustachians that put the mustache on from the sides. If you watch the video, they tried to burn all the videos.
And you're going to uncover, I'm sure, the fact that Sirhan was a birthday clown that used to put mustaches on people. And that's what happened, basically.
Yep.
All right, we'll do my segment first. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Government Secrets segment number 1, the Invention Secrecy Act. Per our riff at the top of this show of how America is really always goes against the thing that it says it is, right? This is the land of opportunity and invention and entrepreneurs. We don't have the government clamping down on business. We need the government to let people do whatever they want. Well, no, sir, no, sir, no, sir. Mm-hmm. This is in Wikipedia. So we always, I will make this caveat every time. We're not big advocates of, yay, we love Wikipedia. The point of going to Wikipedia is to say this information is readily available, one, to anyone who wants to look at it, i.e., I'm sure CNN and MSNBC and Fox and those guys don't have good Wi-Fi in their building, so I totally get why they don't cover these things. They got spotty Wi-Fi over at CNN. I get it.
Yeah.
And 2, this is what they're officially saying. Like when we did on the CIA operations, this is what they're admitting to.
Right. So like, and we go beyond Wikipedia on some things. So like Wikipedia is not going to tell the truth about Blonde F. Kennedy or Blobby F. Kennedy. But with many things, many CIA things like MK Ultra, it's like, even on Wikipedia, they admit these things existed.
Yes. So the Invention Secrecy Act of 1951 was enacted in February 1st, 1952. That's when it was codified. Is a body of a United States federal law designed to prevent disclosure of new inventions and technologies that, in the opinion of the selected federal agencies, present an alleged threat to the economic stability and national security. There's that.
Crushing inventions that could harm our economics, which means large corporations.
Right. And so you don't ask too many questions, we just put national security on it. So that's just our catch-all for screwing over American people. Just taking away your rights, taking away your ability to invent something cool. Like, you would think America, and this is what I've talked to so many like people from other countries and immigrants, when they come here, I thought America was like, you could invent anything. And it's like, you can invent anything that serves the corporate state that controls this oligarchy, this kleptocracy, but you can't do something that hurts their money.
But if you came out with like free energy,
Ding! You're getting one between the eyes. Like you are going to get a good old Gary Webb shoot yourself in the head twice suicide. That's what you're going to get. That's you're going to get a good old double tap suicide. So
if you're gonna suicide yourself, make it stick.
Make it stick. Don't be a lazy suicider with one round to the head. Get off two. So the Invention Secrecy Act allows the United States government to classify ideas and patents under secrecy orders, which indefinitely restrict public knowledge of them. So we don't even get to know what these are. So let's say somebody invented, a car that runs on water, which I know has been invented. Ding! Hey, can we ask questions as Americans? No, it's national security, but it feels like shut up, national security. It's the old shut up. The law applies to all inventions in the United States, regardless of what the idea or invention is. If a patent is applied for or granted, all patents filed within the United States are required to be reviewed, and thousands of ideas and inventions are manually reviewed every year. Any federal government agency with classifying powers may request any patent be restricted under the Invention Secrecy Act.
That explains why we've never seen a competitor to the Snuggie. The man wouldn't let it happen.
It firmly makes me believe that the ShamWow guy was a CIA plant. That they just
I think he totally was.
Martini Linguini Spaghetti or whatever he said, like he was a genius. That guy, on a side note, that was about 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago.
It's like a right-wing lunatic now, I think.
Well, yeah, I was like, either he's either gone nuts, or he's in jail on like coke charges.
I had a so he was arrested because he bit a hooker, but you didn't know that part?
No, I remember.
It was arrested for biting a hooker, but listen, everyone has hobbies, okay?
Maybe that's what she was into. We shouldn't judge anybody for what they like to do in their spare time.
But like 6 months ago, I got an email from a like PR person trying to get me to have him on my show to promote like something new he's doing that's like right-wing politics, and he claims to be he claims he was canceled before canceling was a thing. Like he was the first to be canceled because he was challenging the man or something.
So it's a right-wing cloth that cleans stuff up.
Yeah. It's a white cloth with 2 holes cut in it that you can put over your head. No, I don't know that he's like white supremacist. I'm just saying it was the talking points that they gave me were like, he can talk about this, this, or this. Most of them were pretty right-wing. And I think they sent it to me because I'm on Rumble, and they're like, anyone on Rumble must be right-wing.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. Please send me his marketing people's info because I'd love to have
Yeah.
So ideas, here are the ideas restricted by the Invention Secrecy Act. Secrecy orders can be prohibited from any public disclosure. Sales to any party except the United States, sales to any party except the United States military, or exports to any other nations can be prohibited.
Oh, so there's another thing is it's not just suppressing it, it's forcing the person to only sell to the U.S. military.
Yes.
The line you just said.
Yeah. And it's typical. We're about a free market economy, free market democracy. No, you're not. You're all about monopoly.
I came up with a new laser. Oh, that's all. We only get that. That's just us.
No, only us. Sorry. And then if you try to sell this thing to a Chinese company, well, you're now helping the commies. Even though Coca-Cola, Ford, Nike, Apple all do business in China, all of them.
Oh my God. I went on a trip to China. It's Starbucks, it's McDonald's, it's every 7th car is a Tesla. Yeah.
And I saw all these American cars that are manufactured there. Like Chinese people love buying Buicks and Fords, and it's all these like the Buick Eagle Foot or whatever. It's these cars you've never heard of. They don't even sell here. They're manufactured over there, but Chinese consumers just want American cars.
Well, and I read that Tesla, I don't remember when it was, a few years ago, was basically on the verge of collapse if they couldn't find a cheaper way for production, or I don't remember all the details, but they made a massive deal with China, and I think a lot of Teslas, or most Teslas, are built in China now.
Yeah, of course. And Teslas aren't even that great at cars. So
hold on, but the Cybertruck can slice a human arm in half if you close it on your arm. So that could come in useful if you're in like the zombie apocalypse.
I mean, it kind of feels like, do you need two? You know what I mean? Arms, like
this, yeah. I mean, I think Elon Musk, I think it was part of the ad campaign, wasn't it?
I mean, like
Cybertruck, you need two arms?
And then they just show someone going cling and cutting their arm off.
To be like, I'm so much lighter now. Lose weight with the Cybertruck. Lose weight in seconds.
Oh, thank you, Elon. We love worshiping billionaires because we're in a cult. So again, you cannot sell to anybody other than United States military industry, or exports to other nations can be prohibited. That even
explains be why all the Snuggies are with the Pentagon now.
Absolutely. Pentagon fueled Snuggies. And can even be sealed from the public as classified. So if you try to sell something to one of these companies that they don't want you to, or countries, they can seal it off. And then, but it's America. Wait, we have a great appeals process. The appeals are limited to the United States federal agency that itself restricted the ideas. So
nice.
The agency that said you can't do this, you can appeal to those people and they're going to probably say no. That's just my guess because I'm a YouTube conspiracy freak. I'm nuts.
God, the thing that sucks is you can't know what this has been used for in the past.
We'll never know. I mean, literally, this could be, oh, somebody had a cure for cancer. Oh, that's a security threat. Somebody.
Yeah, it's a threat to the U.S. economy.
Yes.
Curing cancer. Yeah,
because HIV, anything. It could be whatever. So the United States Patent and Trademark Office has investigated the possibility of restricting new technologies if those new ideas may be disruptive to existing industries. Now, had we had this on the books, we would still be using a telegraph, the Pony Express, Henry Ford's horseless carriage would have been nixed because he would have hurt the blacksmith industry. I mean, this is why America is not innovating anything new other than like a bacon wrapped pickup truck with a gun and an all you can eat, smoothie, ice cream bar.
Did you get one of those early sales from Tesla?
That's so good, dude. I'm so good. I sleep. My bed now is bacon. It's a gun. It's a bacon gun. It's and
amazing. I can just gnaw on it in my sleep.
I gnaw on it, and then like if I want to, I can just fire off a couple of rounds like while I'm gnawing on bacon, and then it's amazing. And then I have a diaper that's actually just a hot fudge sundae, so I can like eat it, and it's great.
I don't know where that went, but that does sound like America.
That's where it went. It went right to freedom, Lee. I don't know what you're confused about. The Invention Secrecy Act has been criticized for lack of oversight and impacts on future scientific research. You think, gang?
Yeah.
Let's go into the history of it because the history will be where we really find out the evil.
The history is that someone invented an electric car and then they had to kill him and burn down the plant, and they were like, let's have a more efficient way of doing this.
Yeah. Can we make this just more official than the guy that has we can go back to the diesel engine. The diesel engine was created by Adolf Diesel to run on vegetable oil. He was a German farmer and engineer that wanted farmers to be sustainable meaning they grow the fuel that burns in a diesel engine, and it's clean burning.
Sustainable, no good in capitalism.
Bad, bad, bad. So, to this day, if you get an old, like it usually is a Mercedes-Benz, those diesels engines that were built in the late 80s, the mid to late 80s, those Mercedes, you can convert them to run on vegetable oil. And it is clean burning. It's not bad for the environment, the exhaust from it. And so we could have a whole society where you have but of course, probably because of this law, this act, there's no research or money going into, we could all be driving around because a car running on vegetable oil is probably cleaner and has less carbon footprint than an electric car.
Well, it's not just because of this act. I mean, there are many steps in the US government and our corporate totalitarian state to making sure that things do not replace fossil fuels in a large way. The killing of the electric car being one of them, but the US is attacking other countries for using electric vehicles. Most of the electric vehicle switch from fossil fuels is all happening in China. If you look at the sheer numbers, very few, even though I have an electric car now, but very few percentage wise across America are electric cars yet. So yeah, it's just, there's been so many efforts to stop anything that gets outside of fossil fuels.
Yep. So the background for this, since this law was passed in 51, end of 51 and enacted in 52, it really comes out of World War I and World War II. It's the U.S. government sought to control the release of new technologies that might threaten the national defense and economic stability of the country. During World War I, Congress authorized the United States Patent and Trademark Office to classify certain defense-related patents. This initial effort lasted only for the duration of that war, but was reimposed in October of 1941 in anticipation of the entry of the United States into World War II. It's almost like they knew Pearl Harbor was going to happen. Secrecy orders were initially intended to remain effective for 2 years, beginning on July 1, 1940, but were later extended for the duration of World War. Through World War II alone, at least 11,000 inventions were reported for classification review by the United States government, and other analysis found that World War II era, at least 8,475 inventions were forcibly classified, accounting for 75% of all new inventions in that time period, where over 20,000 total patents were reviewed for possible restrictions.
With that many being restricted, they're like, like you invent a nail clipper that massages your calf, and they're like, nope, we're covering that one up. And you're like, why? We might need it for the military. We don't know.
What if the Ruskies can massage their calf with a nail clipper? Then what? Then your children aren't going to be able to play in the park or whatever whatever fear thing they'll attach to it. So when this came in 1951, made such what it basically did is made patent secrecy permanent. Through the order to suppress any invention must be renewed each year, except during periods of declared war or national emergency. Under this act, defense agencies provide the patent office with a classified list of sensitive technologies. So the defense industry tells the United States government what is danger. Gee, I wonder if these defense industries are going to go, hey, we don't want someone inventing this thing that could, hurt our bottom line, or take some technology and instead of using it for killing innocent people, they're going to use it to make water cleaner or make the planet better or whatever.
Right.
Nope. Can't have that.
Yeah, a new device gives everybody clean water around the world. Let's cover that up because, we like to be able to hold that over countries' heads and say, like, we'll give you clean water if you do everything we want. So we don't want people just stumbling onto clean water everywhere.
No, can't have that. The patent security category review list these are the agencies that determine what's a scary invention: Army, Navy, Air Force, NSA, well, they're doing great work over there. Department of Energy, Department of Homeland Security, NASA, but even the Justice Department gets to determine what's a good patent or not.
Well, someone could come out with a device that gives everyone justice, and they wouldn't want that.
Can't have that. It might, there might be a thing that actually ends homelessness, and then what are cops going to do?
Yeah, the invention is just a piece of paper that says, use all the empty houses and give them to the homeless. And that's
any of these agencies can say this is a restricted, they can restrict the patent. Anybody, any of these agencies. A secrecy order bars the award of a patent, orders that the invention be kept secret, restricts the filing of foreign patents, and specifies procedures to prevent disclosure of ideas contained in the application. By law, the government is only required to compensate the inventor of a restricted idea for 75% of its value as deemed by the agency restricting it. So not only do you come up with a great idea, Lee, they say, nope, you can't do it. And then they say, well, you can't file it anywhere around the world. If you do, you then become a traitor and we will, subject you to prison or extradite you or whatever. But at least you get compensated 75% of the value of what the agency determines. So they're going to go, you know what? I think, Lee, your invention that, gets everybody drinkable water, we think it's worth $1. So here's $0.75 for you, pal.
I invented a lie detector that is 100% accurate, and I'd like to use it on the nation's politicians. And they're like, yeah, so we're gonna take control of that, but we are gonna give you $13.76 for that.
And here's a 10% off at your local McDonald's. If you disclose, if you get a restricted patent and you can't tell anybody about it, and if you disclose this inventions or ideas restricted by a secrecy order, you can be arrested, imprisoned for up to 2 years in federal prison. If an inventor attempts to release the ideas in a foreign country without authorization, the invention and idea can be held as legally abandoned. In the 1958 court case, Robinson versus the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit ruled inventors could not sue the government to appeal secrecy orders until the secrecy itself had been rescinded, citing national security concerns. This standing is held through 1963.
Quick tangent from someone's comment in the comment section. Patchouli Diver said the Segway guy, the guy who invented a Segway, built a thing that turned any nasty water clean. Then he fell off a mountain, ironically, while on a Segway. Not quite true, although a lot of people do think that. The guy who invented the Segway did also invent something, and we'll get to the bit of cover up in a minute, but did also invent something that takes nasty water and makes it clean. However, the guy who fell off a mountain and died on a Segway was actually the CEO of Segway at the time or something like that. So it's still funny that the CEO of Segway died by falling off a mountain on a Segway, but it's not the inventor of Segway, who I believe is still alive, and his name's Dean Kamen, and he invented, it was called Slingshot, a water purification system. And I watched a documentary on this, and it's not that they covered it up, but he can't find... So dirty water is the #1 killer of humans around the globe, but most of these big corporations don't really care that people are dying. They don't want to put money into it. And so he kept going around to all these corporations, the big ones, and saying, we need whatever, a few $1 billion to put these in every African community and give everyone clean water. And basically couldn't find anyone to work with him. And now I think they found some, but it's a very small, it's like in 12 communities rather than being around the world or something.
Yep. Finally, this is what they said. There's no known data on the economic impacts of compulsory secrecy for new ideas. Of course not, because it's all the secret. They've locked it all down. And what studies have done that they concluded the invention of the Secrecy Act leads to an overall reduction in the number of new inventions being presented due to the nature of how inventions and sciences build upon prior discoveries. Other studies have shown that being forced secret for a scale of months can cause an invention or idea to be 15% less likely to be cited by later research and development, demonstrating that even a limited restriction has negative impacts for inventions and science.
This is why we don't have the fucking hoverboard yet.
Yep.
Dude, they're just sitting. If you ever walk in the Pentagon, everyone's on hoverboards. They're just going around the whole goddamn Pentagon on hoverboards. They just won't give them to us.
Yeah. It's so this is basically why America is not creating anything new, why it's just the only new things that America is creating is just more stuff for consumption, just buy more stuff, or some app that you can just have some monthly fee charged to your thing, or it tracks whatever.
They just invent monthly fees.
That's the main invention. How can we get you
different monthly fees?
So that is segment number 1. And now Lee Camp will talk about Bobby Kennedy's new mustache.
Bobby F. Blenedy, his mustachination. Okay, so because this is a big topic, and I really am not prepared to cover it all right now. Like, I don't want to do 4 parts starting now. I'm going to focus on what I found to be like the thing that has always made me kind of skeptical of like the Bobby Blenedy conspiracies. And so I'm going to focus on kind of one area of it. And to me, it's one of the most fascinating parts of it. But most of you know that Bobby F. Blenedy was killed in
1968.
1968, right after.
June 5th. I'm sorry. April 5th was MLK. June 5th was Bobby.
Right after he wins the California primary, and he's almost inevitably going to, at that point, is almost inevitably going to win the Democratic nomination and would win the presidency. And as we did at least 4-part series on the assassination of Blon F. Blenedy, we know that the CIA.
I think you can say the word. You don't have to keep talking. Like, we're gonna just say it. Like, we're gonna get. It's too late. We're gonna.
It's too late for us.
Yes, it is. They want to pull us down. They're gonna pull us down. Like, whatever.
We know that John F. Kennedy was killed by the CIA, and we've given the reasons, etc. But so now this is a few years later, and the CIA knows that if Bobby gets the presidency, he's gonna at minimum come after the CIA, but probably open all the files that reveal who killed his brother, and so they can't allow that. Now, the official story of who kills Bobby is he gives a speech winning the California primary. He then walks off the stage into a kitchen area. And right there in that kitchen area, he is with, there's tons of people, but he is shot several times by Sirhan, a Palestinian American who has been pinned. It was pinned on him as the lone gunman. And he is still in prison to this day.
Let me clarify real quick. Somebody in the chat made me clarify. So I appreciate this. MLK was assassinated April 4th, 1968. And Bobby was assassinated June 6th at the former Ambassador Hotel, which is now the Bobby Kennedy High School.
Yes. But
by Sirhan, who was, of course, part of MK Ultra.
You're jumping to my gun.
Sorry.
But so, lone gunman Sirhan, and he's still in prison to this day. He was supposed to be paroled, but Gavin Newsom jumped in and shot that down. So he's still in prison. Now, I have no trouble believing. I'm talking before I did more research. I had no trouble believing that Sirhan was working for someone, that the CIA put him up to it, etc. Who knows? But the thing that I always found suspect was the idea that so many people believe that Bobby was shot by other shooters, and Sirhan was kind of a patsy, although no one denies he was holding a gun in front of Bobby Kennedy. And so I was kind of like, well, if he's standing there and he's holding a gun and pointing at Bobby Kennedy, then does that not mean he's part of this thing? And the explanation for what actually went on with Sirhan is hypnosis. And when I heard that, I kind of rolled my eyes and I'm like, hypnosis? Really? Like, but if you actually, read up on it and read up on the circumstances of that evening and everything, it's far less insane than it sounds. Now, the best book on this is A Lie Too Big to Fail by Lisa Pease. She's done a lot of great work on this, and I'm probably going to interview her in a week. I've interviewed her before on Redacted Tonight. But anyway, so I'm going to skip over. I may come back and do another part on it later, but I'm going to skip over the stuff about the number, the details of all the bullets. His gun only would have held like 6 bullets, and there were 14 clear bullets shot. 4 shot into Kennedy. There's several in door jams. There's a couple in the ceiling. I think they were giving them out as tchotchkes after the event, and there's bullets everywhere. But clearly, there's far more than 6 bullets fired. There's probably 14 fired or something like that, 12 or 14. And there's all kinds of shenanigans with the bullets, like the ones that are put into evidence are clearly not the ones that would have come from Sirhan's gun. And but when you get into some of the other details, and the shot that killed Bobby Kennedy was behind the ear, and there was still residue, like the gun residue, which means it's close to point blank shot. And Sirhan, during the entire thing, he fires, people tackle him, they can't get the gun from him. He empties 2 more into the ceiling while they're tackling him. After all that, Sirhan was never behind Bobby Kennedy. So there's no way he could have ever shot him behind the ear. Anyway, so he's arrested, and he claims to have no memory of the events in the pantry, the kitchen area at all. And they even hypnotized him to try and get more answers. And so this gets into the details of what is hypnosis, which I found really fascinating. And I don't know, Graham, I've been on multiple shows where I was either opening for or following a hypnotist. Were you ever on any?
Oh, yeah. I did shows with hypnotists, yeah. And
so one of them, which I ended up opening for him several times because he was like in my area of Richmond when I was first starting out. One of them, it's small comedy club, Richmond, Virginia, where I'm starting. And my mother's in the audience. And to my horror, she volunteers to go up with the hypnotist. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, for God's sake.
Wait, are you saying your mom, Sirhan? I'm confused here. What's going on?
She played him in a made-for-TV movie, but that's not related.
No, that was really good. ABC did that. It was so good.
Yeah, it was so good. I don't know why they picked her. She's not an actor, but striking resemblance to Sirhan, though. Striking resemblance.
The stuff Hollywood does with wigs it's amazing. It's amazing.
And mustaches. Mustachinations. So, but she goes up, and the stage only fits, like, he only has like 6 people up there, 7 or something. And there was, for people that, I think for everyone, but especially for someone who knew my mom, she was absolutely not hypnotized. Like, she's looking around, she's smiling. She did all the things he wanted her to do. Okay, when I say this, you're going to get up and dance, and she would do it all. But it was so clear, like her eyes are going everywhere, and she's like looking around, and there was no doubt. And afterwards, she goes, "I think I was kind of hypnotized." I'm like, "Mom, you were not hypnotized at all." But on that same show, the bouncer of the club is also brought up on stage. And he was this dumb as rocks, like 25-year-old, 300-pound dude. I talked to him a little bit, before any of this happened. And I was like, wow, this guy's strikingly dumb. And so he brings him up, and that guy, but he was also kind of a tough guy. He clearly like enjoyed looking like the tough guy. That guy was clearly hypnotized because, for one thing, he is in a completely dead-eyed trance, different than his normal personality. But on top of that, the guy gives a command where he's supposed to pretend that he's having a baby, and he goes through all the like labor pains, and then he gives birth to the baby, and then he's holding the baby. And this big tough dude who would be horrified to ever pretend to be pregnant went through all of it without a smirk, without a pause, as if he was giving birth to a baby and holding his baby and caring for his baby. And I have no doubt that certain people can be easily hypnotized, and certain people it's maybe impossible. And that's basically a lot of the research that she goes through of about hypnotism and about what can be done. And do you think the CIA was experimenting with what could be done?
Never. They wouldn't do that. No. I mean, that's one of the themes of this show. How many times have we done some CIA operation segment and then we always joke, but they shut it down. That's part of what the CIA does anyway, in terms of its recruiting, is it finds people that are like susceptible.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. First of all, people that maybe don't have empathy. So, this guy will be good for killing people. Like this like they find people, and we know from MK Ultra that they look, cults do this. Cults find susceptible people.
Yeah, brainwashing is real, but you got to find
people
that can be that it can be done easily too.
Every time, and usually comics, I have a joke in my special, Manifested, about you've never heard of a comic getting roped into a cult, because we have a nope. We want to stand outside.
A bullshitometer.
Yeah, we don't. Lenny Bruce said you got to be a good comic, you have to have a good bullshit detector, and that's what we do. That's why I've been thrown off of juries numerous times when I say I'm a stand-up comic, because they know I can sway this whole room. I can get the whole. And they're like, yeah. I don't want this guy. It's why comics never get put on jury duty, because someone, either the defense or the prosecuting attorney, is going to go, no, that guy.
Yeah. And so, like I said, I'm not going to go through the bullet analysis, but all the evidence shows that Sirhan fired blanks that day. Now, if you were going to get a patsy and put him in front of Bobby Kennedy, but if he's hypnotized or in some other drugged, whatever you want to say, if he's not in his right mind, you're running a big risk that he misses, that he shoots other assassins. There's just a lot of risk to it. But if you get a susceptible guy to fire blanks, well, that draws all the attention of the room. Like, no one's paying attention to anything else that's going on if there's a dude in front of Bobby Kennedy firing gun that seems real. And so...
then you would have key people going, he's got a gun. And then everyone turns to that guy, and no one's looking over here, because we're all looking this way.
And it doesn't matter, like how much you could be prepped on the art of deception and everything. When someone starts firing a gun, you're going to look at that guy. Like, you're not, there's no way you hear a gun if you're from you and you turn and like, I wonder what else is going on. You'd be out of your mind. So it works as a perfect deception. And then, of course, they have the perfect fall guy for when the cops need to arrest someone. And so, but there's a lot of interesting, eyewitness testimony from that day and that moment, such as the fact that Sirhan seemed completely in a trance-like state. His pupils were dilated, which is another thing that can happen in hypnosis. He did not seem to really understand what was going on. And this continues into the police station, where they're interviewing him for hours, and he seems just completely calm. Cops say, some of the cop testimony is it seems like he was calmer than someone getting a parking ticket. They also said he couldn't recall his name. And yeah, you could lie about that, but the things that he had a lot of information about himself, but he didn't have his name. He couldn't seem to figure out whether he was married or not. He was. And it seemed to be a theme that any questions about women he couldn't answer, like he'd get confused. And so it's quite possible because his handler was a woman, it's quite possible they put a suggestion in hypnosis for him to not know anything about women. Um, and anyway, also there's like evidence of his kind of like freak like strength when everyone jumps on him to try and take the gun, and you have like 5 or 6 men all trying to subdue him. And this is another thing that can happen apparently in hypnosis, is because you don't have the conscious brain telling you about pain and things like that, you can be far stronger than you normally would be.
Yeah.
So the experts agree that 20% of the population is pretty susceptible to hypnosis. Roughly 20% can be fairly easily hypnotized. Of that 20%, there's a far smaller percentage that can be so extremely hypnotized they can do dangerous things in hypnosis. But it does exist. Like, there is that small percentage that can do dangerous things. And one of the agreements, this is another reason that I had thrown off this theory as not true, is because I had known that the experts over years have said, well, people can be hypnotized, they can do a lot of silly things, but they almost never will do something that's dangerous, because they wouldn't do something under hypnosis that they wouldn't that they really wouldn't do when conscious, like shoot someone. But the thing is, for people that can be extremely hypnotized, you can give them, the person doing the hypnotizing can give them a story that could kind of trick them into allowing them to do dangerous things. For example, hypnotizing them and telling them that body snatchers or something there's a doppelganger who looks like your mother, and she's taken over your mother, and the only way to save her is to stab her or whatever. You could put in some sort of suggestion, which it seems, there's a lot of evidence that this is what they did for Sirhan Sirhan, probably telling him that that wasn't the real Bobby Kennedy, that was imposter, various things you could do to get him to behave in this way.
We should add to the fact that why people are like, how come there's not more information on any type of conspiracy or whatever with Bobby, is because it was only 5 years after his brother was assassinated, which there were huge congressional hearings, and there was a kind of an overall like, we don't want to go through another Kennedy, people didn't want to deal with it. The media didn't want to deal with it as much, I think. And I think also to the point
with MLK happening the same time. I think there was fatigue over the horror show.
Yeah. And the conspiracies around it. And I think we pointed out when we did the 3-part series on JFK and that book, JFK and the Unspeakable, all of the people who came forward that then died or disappeared, or, I think there was some people just like, well, I ain't going to say anything because look what they did with the president. So if they did that with the president, they're going to do it with a presidential candidate who is only a senator. I mean,
yeah. Or Kennedy's doctors who treated him that day. Many of them have now come forward to say the shot in the throat was an entrance wound, etc. But but for decades they didn't, because they're like, if they'll kill a president, they'll kill a doctor.
Yeah.
In a second.
Yeah. Yep.
I think you're right. I also think that because John F. Kennedy was already president, he was shot in broad daylight. It was so horrific that as the decades have gone on, people almost put the murder of Bobby Kennedy as a footnote.
Yep. Just like, well, they got another one. What are we going to do?
Yeah. And so here's a quote from one of the CIA's hypnosis experts, because the CIA had tested hypnosis just endlessly. Like, they wanted to see if they could create Manchurian candidates. That's the perfect assassin, is someone who doesn't even know they're doing it. So they worked on it for decades. One of the CIA's hypnosis experts, whose name is still redacted more than 60 years later, even though he's likely long dead, they still won't say who he is.
Just to be on the safe side.
But here's a quote from him. He said, "Frankly, I now distrust much of what is written by academic experts on hypnotism. Partly this is because many of them appear to have generalized from a very few cases, partly because much of their cautious pessimism is contradicted by CIA experimenters, but more particularly because I personally have witnessed behavior responses which respected experts have said are impossible to obtain." So this is the CIA hypnosis expert saying, I know this stuff works. I know we can do this stuff.
I've seen it.
I've seen it. Let's see. Yeah, and then another way to tell with a proper suggestion, a hypnotist, and this has been done in stage shows. There are stage shows that do this. A hypnotist can insert a needle into a suspect's hand, and if they're hypnotized, you can get them to not feel any pain and to not react to a needle being stabbed through their hand. Now, obviously, if they're faking it, they'll scream with pain.
Yeah.
And this shows how effective hypnotism is. It's like, it's been done in stage shows. You can watch people go up on stage, and it's not done that often because you still got to stick a needle through someone, but it used to be done more often in stage shows. So yeah, so Sir Anselm behaves completely completely weird during all the questioning and everything by police. He seems completely out of it. He doesn't understand why he would have shot Bobby Kennedy. And to this day, he says he has no memory of that night. Let's see the witnesses. And the other thing, I also can speak to one other moment that I personally was on stage with after a hypnotist. I go to perform at a college. I performed at hundreds of colleges, and I think they didn't even tell me that I was going on, that it was a multiple person show and that I was going on after a hypnotist. So the hypnotist goes up there and and I know this is like impossible to follow. Like to follow someone who's got, a bunch of people from a bunch of college kids on stage clucking like chickens and everything is awful. And so
That just sounds like a horrible show, just a bad show.
Yeah, because the audience is going, and it's a packed room because it's like freshman orientation or something. The kids are going nuts, like watching other freshmen just behave like idiots. And I'm like, this is just the worst. And so I can't really tell what's going on. I'm in the wings about to be introduced after the hypnotist, and the hypnotist is wrapping up, and the student who's going to introduce me says, oh, he's finishing up or whatever. And I don't realize it, but what he has whispered into some of the ears of some of these participants, and then he's sent them back to their seats. But he has whispered something in their ears that basically, when he says good night, all hell's supposed to break loose. So he goes up to the mic and says, and they're already back in the audience, and he says, it's been wonderful being up here. Have a good night. And he walks off. And one of the ones I remember, multiple kids start doing crazy shit in the audience, but one of the ones I remember is a kid. And again, this is nothing that a freshman would want to do if he had free will. Takes off his pants and is walking around in like his tidy whities with like his pants on his head or something. And everybody's going nuts. And I'm like, oh, we should wait because I can't perform during the. And literally the kid, like in the activities board, just like wanders out on stage and mumbles into the mic, please welcome Lee Camp. And then wanders off.
Oh, college shows. Oh, God.
And I have to walk out there and be like, yeah, so let's just watch the kid with his underwear on his head for a while. And
I got to be honest with you. All the episodes we've done where you refute my psychic abilities and I
don't recall your psychic abilities. I remember you met aliens, but
I didn't. No, at the Berlin show, I saw it. I've had some psychic. I've had psychic ability.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And you were like, that's all bullshit, Graham, but you believe in hypnosis. And this is where I'm
Hypnosis, you can see.
well, maybe you just can't see the way I see, Lee. Maybe.
Uh-huh.
It's just, I love that the guy that's just crushed forensic science and the fact that I'm a self-proclaimed psychic loves hypnosis. This is the beauty part of the show. We each have these weird, we each have these weird soft spots or whatever. Like, I don't know what it is, but they're fantastic.
Dude, there's actually two cases. I'll close out with this. There's actually two cases where someone killed someone under hypnosis. One was in Denmark, where a guy had been hypnotized and sent to rob a bank, and he ended up killing two people in the process. And at first, police, completely wrote this off, but after a lot of time and a lot of evidence and et cetera, they did come to the conclusion that this guy was under hypnotic state. But another one was, it was like in Poland or something in the, I don't know, 1950s or something, 60s. A hypnotist had a cop on stage, and he gave him he hypnotizes him, and he gives him a block of wood and says, this block of wood's your gun. And he says a suggestion that you need to kill the bad guys in the audience. And the hypnotized cop starts firing at the audience with the block of wood. But what the hypnotist didn't realize what happened next is, frustrated that the block of wood wasn't working, the cop pulls his real gun and kills two people in the audience. And I don't think you'd do that if you were just playing around and playing along, Graham.
No, you can't. No, you can't. But
anyway, I'm sure I'll bring up more things from the Bobby Kennedy assassination. Oh, there's also a quote in there that I don't have handy about the CIA decided ultimately not to use hypnosis much because there's just easier ways to kill people. and even in the Bobby Kennedy example, they just used him as a distraction. They didn't actually use him for the assassination. It was just like, can we get a patsy that will just be a crazy distraction?
Right. And plus the paperwork on a hypnosis assassination. Oh God. It just, I mean, the bank stuff, the whole thing, it's just a hassle. Where do they part? I mean, the list goes on. I think that's our episode, right, buddy? Nice.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I got to run, but I will bring more about RFK in the future.
Yes, folks. So today there is no bonus episode because Lee has been hypnotized to leave the show early.
But Graham's going to go do an 1.5 bonus on his own. So
I'm going to read tarot cards for the audience.
All right. I will see you later. Thanks, Grant.
Thanks, everybody. This has been episode 165. Bobby Kennedy gets hypnotized and the government hates inventions. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching, everybody. Really appreciate it. Even though we're not doing a bonus segment today, you can still go to patreon.com/government secrets. And there's over 60 bonus segments that are immediately unlocked at any level. You can support us for as little as $5 a month. There's higher levels if you want to get merchandise, but you're absolutely supporting everything we're doing and you're getting all this bonus content. We really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And please like, share, and subscribe to both of our YouTube channels, even if you've done it in the past, because they are actively unsubscribing people. I'm like about to go under 70,000 subscribers. I used to have 79,000 subscribers. So that's what's happening here. Thank you for supporting us, everybody. Go to GrahamElwood.com and LeeCamp.com for all of our stuff. And you're all the best. Really appreciate your support.